Take a picture here. You can stand on this side.
Stand on the carpet. Later.
जाना चाहिए
Sir, ready? Done. Thank you.
Students can stand there.
Sir? Sir? जो थोड़ो रेडी आइजा रेडी थैंक यू
You can go this way.
हाँ
with the family, Mr. Patel and
अशोक थोड़ा सेंटर करें रेडी थैंक यू रमेश लाइव बंद कर हेलो रमेश लाइव बंद कर फ्री कर मन
other side. She was from corporate and now she's gotten into this. Everyone has, she's gone into academia.
Okay.
When I give you a cue, you just need to press this, you have to stand up.
Yeah, to see what's happening. Yeah, okay.
What do you say? Isn't it amazing?
Amazing. Insane.
You did not believe it ऐसी फालतू पे करी है
No, insane. This is what will
You feel happy?
go down in memory, in history. It should be more, it should be Southern Generals, not be
You only told me no. We don't have money.
Be Southern.
You don't have personal money. I wish we had personal money.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and the JSW School of Public Policy, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the official inauguration of the JSW School of Public Policy building. In the spirit of digital transformation, I would like to request our generous donors, Mr. Sajjan Jindal, Chairman, JSW Group, Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal, Chairperson, JSW Foundation, and Mr. Parth Jindal, Managing Director, JSW Cement and JSW Paints, to unveil the inauguration plaque. We will now screen a recorded message by Mr. Rahul Mehrotra, founder principal of RMA Architects and professor of urban design and planning at the Harvard Graduate School of Design, who is the principal architect of the JSW School of Public Policy building. Unfortunately, he could not join us in person, but he has been very kind to record a video for us. And hopefully, after watching it, we will all appreciate the space that we are here to inaugurate and we all are sitting in right now.
Good evening and welcome to the opening ceremony of the JSW School of Public Policy at IIM Ahmedabad. Greetings to faculty, to the donors, students if they are present, and all the distinguished guests who have come for the opening. My name is Rahul Mehrotra. I'm the founder principal of RMA Architects and also professor of urban design and planning at the Graduate School of Design at Harvard University. This building has been important for us for three reasons. The first is the donors, JSW. We have worked with this foundation and with all the individuals and organizations involved for now almost 3 decades. So it was a real delight to be invited to do this building by both IIM and JSW. For us, IIM is an institute we have really admired for its patronage of architecture and the premium it's put on buildings in the campus building endeavor. And lastly, the program itself, which is a School of Public Policy, a critical need in this country. I speak more as an urban planner and architect, but also an exposed to this institute at my university here, Harvard University, the Kennedy School of Government, where one has taken those spaces and seen them operate. And so in some ways, this program, the fact it was IIM and JSW supported it, was a real blessing for us. It made it an absolutely unique project, and we'll always remember, and extremely satisfying. The concept of the building was really to create an armature, to create almost a portal, a literal formation of an armature, within which, through a circulation system, which you see in yellow in these diagrams, a kind of promenade through the building, spaces of very disparate character, disparate scales and specificity would be combined. But in the process, creating hopefully chance encounter and a sociability which in a conventional building you can't achieve. And the second idea was let green be very present through the building, on the upper levels of the building, in the way the views outside to the playfield are framed. And so these are the central ideas that dictated how we approached it. And what you see at the bottom is our final model which we really then translated into this building. And here you see a view of the the south facade, where a great amount of protection is afforded through louvers, but also minimal glazing. The north facade, of course, is much more open, but the east and west facade are almost blank, barring a few openings that are extremely well protected. So in terms of climate, in terms of keeping the heat out and letting the breeze go through it, the building is intended to perform passively to some degree of efficiency. And in the image of the night view, you see how it's really three buildings that sit within the portal of the armature. One is on the left, the faculty offices that have very specific requirements. They are more or less standardized, so there's equity. And on the right, you see where the library and the big classrooms are. And in between is this fluid space where the promenade through this ramp weaves through the building, connecting spaces and encouraging people to intersect with each other to create a form of sociability. So the ground floor is embraced with green. It's open. You are welcome to this forum, which is an amphitheater, which we believe will become the heart of this building, where interactions will happen, lectures will occur, discussions and debates. And really, for us, emblematically, that's the coming together of people, of ideas, of opinions, and forms of resolution, I hope, which get translated into policy. And then as you go up to the upper floors, of course, the green reappears in terraces, but the promenade, the ramp, a little amphitheater on the upper floor, places where there are unprogrammed spaces, but of course can contain a whole spectrum of programs. And this is where we feel the sociability aspect of the building would get enhanced. And then, of course, the facade, the use of materials, the play with light and how openings can be modulated, open, close, depending on the climate. You can darken this room completely or open it out to let light penetrate. You create patterns. That itself creates a kind of layer of a changing texture, so to speak, on the surfaces of the building. And also, for the moment, what we have done is we have used color to punctuate the different circulation systems, but the building is also designed as an armature which might contain art, and we've left things very neutral, the floor, the ceiling, so that art can create another layer. And I think here we have an interesting situation where the donors for this building, JSW, also support art in incredibly substantial ways, and they've already reached out to make that offer, to make it also an art project. And of course, this is a matter of consensus building among the faculty, the students, what is appropriate art, what could be interactive art, and art in its most broad kind of sense, from video art and installations to light to actually painting. And hopefully that is a project that will be realized in the coming years as the building is used and people are clearer and there's a consensus built on what might be the appropriate art for the place. So at night, I go back to this idea of three buildings within the armature, a promenade that weaves it through very loose, fluid spaces. Hopefully through innovative programming, faculty can use these spaces. And of course, other amenities can be added, but it leaves the system a little bit open-ended for that occupation depending on need. And the idea of the promenade, the idea of a place where people meet, people through chance encounter meet. It's like a street in a city. And so I wish you all the best. I wish this school a great success as it goes forward. It was going to be a very important component of our nation building. I thank the faculty, the potential students who are making something out of this building. As they say, we make our buildings and then our buildings make us. And lastly, to the donors for having supported such a wonderful endeavor. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the day on the campus. Bye.
Clearly, IMA has created yet another iconic structure, the institute that is known for its architecture, and it continues that legacy. And I want to now formally, officially invite everyone here, my colleagues, students, our guests, to come and use these spaces, to come and keep visiting us so that you can benefit from these spaces. So a warm welcome to you once again. Mrs. Jindal wants to give us a small token of appreciation. I would now like to welcome Professor Arindam Banerjee, Director in charge of IIMA, to deliver his opening remarks.
Good afternoon to you all. Dear Mr. Sajjan Jindal, Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal, Mr. Parth Jindal, Mr. Patel, Pankaj Patel, esteemed guests, my fellow colleagues, co-workers at this institute, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this inauguration of the JSW School of Public Policy premises. Today marks an important milestone in IIMA's journey towards building a robust public policy infrastructure, not just for the institution, but for the state and the country at large. In India, we are at a crucial juncture in our evolution as a superpower in the world. Our economy is growing rapidly, and we are seeing fast-paced development and challenges that come out of that as we strive to build a more prosperous and equitable society. This is where the role of a well-rounded public policy becomes critical. It is the foundation on which our democratic societies are built, and it is the driving force behind the creation of a flourishing state with strong social and economic systems that benefit all members of the society. We need to develop policies that can support our growth while also addressing the unique needs of our diversity. The JSW School was conceptualized to be an influential think tank that can contribute to building this public policy framework for the state and the country. We envision it to be achieved through high quality, impactful research. Most critical, just right training programs for practitioners from public, private, and non-profit sectors, academics, and young minds interested in public policy. The school took shape in 2015 with a very generous support of the JSW Group. Even as the brick and mortar facilities was underway in the last few years, the school took the lead in bringing together stakeholders across spectrum to facilitate public policy dialogues that would engage, influence, and contribute meaningfully to policy formulation. IIMA, as we all know, has a strong legacy of making exceptional contributions to India's policy-making space that have actively shaped the policy scape of the country. A significant amount of research, teaching, and advisory work has been undertaken, creating for IIMA a reputation for innovative, grounded, and future-oriented contribution to improving policy formulation and implementation. Many of IIMA's alumni have played critical roles in public policy domain as well. JSW School of Public Policy seeks to build on this legacy. The school building has been envisaged to be the platform where we can host leaders, practitioners, and students of public policy for dialogue, debate, and creating innovative solutions to the challenges that we face today. As we formally inaugurate the school building today, I want to express my sincere gratitude to those who have made this possible, especially to the JSW Group for its generous support. I'm grateful to the esteemed panelists who are here today for the discussion that is to follow the inaugural ceremony. Professor Pranab Bordhan, Professor Ashwini Deshpande, Mr. Parameshwaran Iyer, Professor Arvind Panagaria, and Dr. Shamika Ravi. I also want to thank you all, the distinguished guests, for your support and your commitment to the cause of public policy. In conclusion, I want to say that we are filled with hope and optimism as we embark on this new journey. The challenge for us is to transform this beautiful brick and mortar edifice into an intellectually productive institution that creates useful outcomes for society to use. I sincerely believe that this will happen very soon. Thank you very much. Thank you again for being part of this inauguration event.
Thank you, Arindam. I would now like to welcome Mr. Pankaj Patel, Chairperson of the Board of Governors of IIMA, to deliver the inauguration speech.
A very good afternoon. First of all, let me excuse myself for my sore throat. I'll try and speak, and if I'm tired, I have a colleague here who will complete the speech. Mr. Sajjan Jindal, Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal, and my dear Parth, it's a pleasure to have you us today. I still remember when the director that time, Ashish, came and said, we are going to build a public school, and I have got an endowment from this center for 50 crore rupees. It was a great moment, and in the building committee, we discussed many times with architect and everybody and debated a lot about this building. And of course, a lot of contribution came from your foundation and your people. And as a result, today we say we have one of the very nice and very different kind of a building among us, and it creates a kind of a new atmosphere and environment. Also, the faculty members and the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is, we know that IIM is known to create management leaders, and we all know that there are several of our graduates who holding senior position across the world in different companies, educational institutions, and so forth. So as we have done and created business leaders who have basically brought new thoughts, ideas, and actions to help the world of business and commerce and grow and evolve and transform the world. Actually, the faculty has been at the forefront of this. It is the faculty who has brought in always a fresh perspective and new paradigms, and actually has created a new game changer for all our industry, not only in India but across. And this setting of a JSW school for public policy, we are actually looking forward to shaping the new generation of public leaders. We are witnessing a huge transformation as we enter into this digital era. Businesses the world over are embracing this change by looking at technology enablers and disruptive ideas to unlock the value. We are seeing a huge number of startups who have, with their agility and disruptive ideas, refined parameters of growth and success. So we see there is a greater inclination to innovate and bringing new approaches for the meeting the multi-dimensional challenge. Over the years, nation has become increasingly interdependent on each other, and we have seen public policy has a great impact on our economy, health, industry, security, and our international trade and relationship. So increasing complexity and challenges of the social issues and the problems that require more intensive thought, research, application of analytical tools, problem identification, and effective implementation is the need of hour. The entire spectrum from planning to action demands much more rigor to today as the world is moving ahead at an accelerated pace, and ineffective public policy would set up us back more than actually going forward. So an effective public policy would look at bridging gaps, addressing several stakeholders' interest, and create right balance, and above all, safeguard the national interest. The JSW Public School aims to become the knowledge hub for the breakthrough thoughts to help public policy experts with fresh talents in India and also in the world. The implementation of the Aadhaar program, Digital India campaign, Smart City program, National Rural Health Mission, the mass vaccination program, all bear out of the collaborating and integrating effort that can improve and the reach and result for better outcomes. The JSW Public Policy School has potential to become the key center which will provide an understanding unique to India. It will play a significant role in developing case studies of Indian policies. The case studies would and could cover a range of policy challenges such as healthcare, education, agriculture, energy, and urbanization. The case study approach, which I have been using quite successfully at IMA, is particularly useful in obtaining an in-depth understanding of an issue, event, or phenomena of interest, and it offers the real-life extension. By this, one gets a broad overview of all important consideration related to the problem identification, interpretation, analysis, and a wealth of learning for outcome design, planning, and action. The policy diffusion is a process in which policy ideas and practices are adopted and implemented by different actors. The JSW school can play a significant role in promoting policy diffusion by disseminating case studies to a wider audience. The case studies could be published in academic journals, policy briefs, and on online platforms. The School of Public Policy, with its inevitable infrastructure now, also aims to become the platform for hosting the best minds of various aspects of public policy, such as eminent panelists that we have here today. In doing so, the school hopes to create opportunity of interaction and engagement between policy thinkers and policy practitioners. The school hopes to foster more collaborative and interactive approach for public policy. It is said, improving the quality of our lives should be the ultimate target of public policy. But public policy can only deliver best fruit if they are based on reliable tools to create, shape, implement, and measure the improvement that they seek to produce in our lives. I'm sure that the JSW School of Public Policy will dwell deep and usher a new age of thinking, ideation, and breakthrough approaches for action in public policy, which will be greater good for the community and nation as a whole. I extend my best wishes for success of this new venture. Thank you very much for tolerating me and my voice. Thank you.
You could manage.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Patel. And thank you also for highlighting some of the activities of the school, such as our programs and the ideas of policy innovation diffusion, which I think throughout the event today we will keep emphasizing. I would now like to welcome Mr. Sajjan Jindal, Chairman JSW Group, and Mr. Parth Jindal, Managing Director, JSW Cement and JSW Paints, to deliver their remarks.
Boss is there.
I was worried पहले आप में वो गाड़ी निकल जाएगी. So, Pankaj Bhai Patel, Chairperson, Board of Governors, IIM Ahmedabad. Professor Arindam Banerjee, Director in Charge, IIM Ahmedabad. Professor Namrata Chindarkar, Chairperson, JSW School of Public Policy, IIM Ahmedabad. Friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and thank you for joining us here today at IIM Ahmedabad. I'm happy to be here amongst all of you in this new magnificent building that we are inaugurating today. Rahul Mehrotra, who is not here today and whom we just saw on the video, is the architect and has really worked very hard to bring this magnificent building to life. We started the process of its construction in 2018, and then COVID struck and it got delayed, and finally after 4 years of stop and start, we are here today to inaugurate this building. So I congratulate the designers, the engineers, and the project management team for this. So the question is that how did this idea of building this project came along, and why did we at JSW thought of building this school here in Ahmedabad? So one, of course, is that there cannot be a better place, better college, a better institute of management in the country than IIM Ahmedabad. So that goes without saying. So therefore, this opportunity, Professor Nanda, right? Yeah, Professor Nanda, Dean at that time here, once we met in Bombay for something, and there he suggested that there could be a possibility that we could build something interesting in Ahmedabad if you are willing to endow some money for that project. At that time, I was struggling. This is, I think, sometime in 2015 or 16 that this idea was incubating in my head. At that time, I was struggling within the business, within the industry. I was struggling with lots of ideas and lots of difficulties, and I did not know how to approach it, what is the way forward to change the mindset of our bureaucracy and how to change the mindset of our administrators in the country. So, when this Professor Nanda approached and this idea came, I immediately grabbed it, and I thought that what better place to build a school of public policy where we can change the mindset of our administrators, bureaucracy across the country, bring new ideas, change that colonial thought process with which our bureaucracy, in my view, I'm not sure, of course, Hasmukh Bhai is sitting here, I was just chatting with him, has been taught over the years, and bring the new modern thought process. Because when our country is going to become, at that time we were looking at 5 trillion economy that India will become, but today we are talking about 10 trillion is visible in next 7 to 10 years. And the country is growing with a neck break speed. So we need a real modern thought process, a thought process which is not driven by socialism, which is not driven by that only the public sector can deliver the growth in the country. On the contrary, in my view, it's the private sector which will only propel this country to a different level. It cannot, because worldwide the public sector has failed. And I'm very strong proponent of government not to do business, and I always, and it's not because I am a private sector, but I believe in it because ultimately it's the accountability which matters, it's the profitability which matters, and it's the private sector which is public listed companies which finally delivers and finally can take the country to a different level. And the government's role, the bureaucracy role, the role of the administrator is to govern, is to regulate the system. That's how I thought, and that's what I discussed with Professor Nanda, and then this whole idea came about, and I'm very glad that this school has happened, and now probably we'll have training. And I was discussing with Hasmukh Bhai just before entering this hall that we have to encourage the government to bring in the bureaucrats, the IS officers who are running this country for training and retraining. Every 3 years there should be a refresher course where new ideas, what's happening in the world is taught, is discussed, is debated, and then implemented when they go back to their workplaces. If that happens, then I think my dream will really fructify, and we will see some change that this country will see through this place, and that's what will give me a lot of satisfaction. To talk about JSW Foundation, of course, the chairperson is sitting here, my wife Sangeeta, and she's been working to make change, whatever change can be done to the millions of people of our country, and she's working day and night, and through education, through health, through DIZs, the direct influencing zones of our factories, wherever we work in the country. The CEO is here. Can you? Yeah, Avinash is here, and they are doing an excellent work, and that's been really fantastic. The JSW School of Public Policy at IIM Ahmedabad is another milestone in our journey to champion quality education in India. Right now we focus more on the school education. There are a number of schools every area wherever we are. We adopt all the government schools. We try to improve the quality of teachers, try to improve the quality of schools, the hardware, the computerization, digitalization. So there are thousands and thousands of schools that we are interacting with. We are indulging, improving their infrastructure, so that, because most of our factories are in the rural areas. We don't have any factory in any city. They're all in far-flung areas because our business is such. Steel making is closer to the mines, which are the poorest areas of our country, and cement factories are like that. So therefore, these schools, they really have we've made a big difference, and that's what the foundation's role has been, and this has been done extremely well. So I've already spoken about the objective, but I've written the speech, so I will read it. What's the objective of JSW School of Public Policy? It has been formed to make a meaningful contribution to the field of public policy. The shared goal is to make JSW School of Public Policy an influential, research-oriented think tank and policy training institute in the region. In a country as large as ours, and as diverse and as complex, the role of public policy has become crucial to determine our trajectory and achieve development that is fast-paced, inclusive, and sustainable. We have seen how policies such as goods and services tax have streamlined our economy. The architect of that is sitting right in front of us, and created a more business-friendly environment. Internationally, Abenomics in Japan, when the Prime Minister Abe, he made the Japanese policies, and he took the economy out of deflation and challenged China's geopolitical dominance. And also Reaganomics was the most serious attempt to change the course of US economic policy. It is therefore vital that we have an army of skilled public policy professionals who can design, evaluate, and implement policies that are effective, efficient, and equitable. JSW School of Public Policy can help to create a new generation of leaders who are equipped to tackle the complex challenges of the 21st century with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. I congratulate Professor Namrata, chairperson of JSW School of Public Policy, for her inspiring leadership of the school and the impact it has already created and started creating. I'm sure that under her guidance, JSW School of Public Policy will account for much larger impact in the years to come. Finally, to the students who will be joining us, you are embarking on a journey that is both challenging and rewarding. The India we see a decade from now will be vastly different from the one we see today. We need the right people, the right ideas, and the right networks to prepare ourselves for the challenges and opportunities ahead of us. We look at you to be those people. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you wish to see in the world. I wish you all the best in your journey and look forward to hearing about your accomplishments in the years to come. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Good evening, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Arindam Banerjee, Pankaj Bhai Patel, and ladies and gentlemen. Very difficult to go after my father, but I'll try. Today it's a historic day for us at the JSW Group. We are extremely proud to be a part of IIM Ahmedabad. I myself studied at Brown University. I did my undergraduate in political science and economics, and then I did my MBA at Harvard Business School. And I was always surrounded by, famous buildings, whether it was the Rockefeller Library at Brown or the Bloomberg Library at Harvard. There were all these famous buildings. And I would always tell my parents about, what these great industrialists of their time in the US did and gave back to institutions there. IIM Ahmedabad, I don't think needs any introduction. I think it's one of the preeminent institutions in the country. Several top scholars, top bureaucrats, top politicians even have come from this place, and these grounds are hallowed grounds. And today, it gives me so much pride that my parents have decided to contribute to IIM Ahmedabad and contribute in India. You know, several industrialists, several Indian entrepreneurs have given huge endowments overseas. Very few have given in India. And I think that this initiative of my father and especially my mother is really, really remarkable. I would like to give a lot of credit to my mother because she pushed my father a lot, and she made sure that Rahul Mehrotra does this building. And today, sitting here, this classroom is no less than the classrooms we had at Harvard Business School. This building is no less than what we had at Harvard Business School or at Brown. And I think in many ways it's even better. So I hope that from the JSW group side, we can contribute meaningfully to the School of Public Policy. We can shape the school to be exactly what it wants to be, to make a meaningful impact in India. A lot of our top bureaucrats, a lot of our top IAS officers go to schools like the Lee Kuan Yew School for training. They go to Harvard Kennedy School. That must continue. Exchange programs must happen. This school should come onto the world map. It already has. It should get more and more renowned over time. And there should be a lot more exchange of ideas, because we do need to learn from the East. We do need to learn from the West, so that India can truly find its rightful place as one of the superpowers in the world. When I look at business today, when I look at public policy today, there's a vast difference, there's a vast improvement. And today, when we were all at Harvard Business School in 2000, when I graduated in 2016, nobody thought of staying back in America. Everyone thought that we want to come back to India. India is where the opportunity is. India is where unicorns can come. India is where $10 billion, $100 billion companies can be made. And that's a big change from 30, 40, even 20 years ago, when there was a brain drain in the country. So really thrilled to be a part of this in whatever capacity I can play a role. I would love to, and really congratulate each and every one of you, and really look forward to this school making a meaningful impact to India and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jindal. Thank you, Parth. I think, the words that was said, that in the end, it's institution building for the nation. That is what we are here for. And thank you so much again for your contribution, as Arindam and Mr. Pankaj Patel have also highlighted before. So slight change in the program, since some of our guests may not be able to stay until later. So I'll come in to deliver my closing remarks. And since I'm playing multiple roles, I'll introduce myself as well. So I'm Professor Namrata Chindarkar. I'm an associate professor here at the JSW School of Public Policy and also the chairperson of the school. It was a very tough mandate that was passed on to me. Of course, I knew what I was getting into. Maybe deliberately, part of it was not communicated to me by Errol, who was the director at that time. But I did think of it as an opportunity where I can truly contribute to building an institution, of course, in my home country, exactly what Parth was highlighting. So I did not hesitate at all, leaving from where I was before and joining this institution. And I'm so happy in my personal capacity to see this day happen. So thank you everyone for being here. I do have a little speech to close the formal part of the inauguration ceremony. Recently I started reading this book called The Progressive Maharaja, Sir Madhav Rao's hint on the art and science of government. The book is written by Rahul Sagar, who actually happens to be a former colleague, but this is not any kind of marketing for him. It's actually a very interesting book. He's now a professor of political science at NYU Abu Dhabi. So who was Sir Madhav Rao? How many of you in this room actually know about him? Yeah, maybe some of you. So Sir Madhav Rao served as Diwan in the native states of Travancore, Indore, and Baroda. And this book brings to the limelight lectures that he delivered in 1881 to Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III, who was the then Maharaja of Baroda, and he was very young. What I found fascinating, for me personally, is that the book contains all the lessons of good and progressive governance that we are constantly looking for. And remember, this was back in 1881. Each lecture that he delivers deep dives into issues that remain critical for India even today, such as education, public health, food security, public works and basic infrastructure, salaries of public servants, law and order, policing, and so on. And under his leadership, each of the native states that he governed became model states, and that is how it is presented even in the books in quotes, that they went on to become model states. So the takeaway from this short narrative is that we need to be grounded in our history, and that is going to help us prepare ourselves for the future. Our frameworks and our models of state capacity and governance need to be context-driven and cannot simply be borrowed from elsewhere. This is the vision that the JSW School of Public Policy has set out with, to develop a unique school of thought on public policy that embraces and tries to make sense of the complex and oftentimes messy policy scape of India. And I want to thank Professor Pranab Bardhan, who are here. And yesterday we were having this conversation about context-specific policies. So thank you for highlighting that in your talk yesterday. As has already been said by Mr. Patel, by Arindam, Mr. Jindal, and Parth, the school aims to mainstream cutting-edge ideas, such as policy design and innovation, policy experimentation, use of digital governance and AI in public service delivery, and creating, as Mr. Jindal was highlighting, 21st century public leaders who have a different mindset. Along with a keen eye on the future, the school is supporting research on current and pressing issues such as barriers to inclusive education, water insecurity in rural Himalayan regions, and energy poverty. JSW School of Public Policy also aims to play a role in overcoming policy myopia and become a platform that brings government, industry, and academia together to take a citizen-centric view and open-mindedly discuss, and this is important, both policy successes and policy failures. Because we talk about successes all the time, but policy failures are oftentimes just, shoved under the carpets, with the objective of learning and diffusion. The school has the privilege of being a part of the country's best management institution. It therefore aspires also to facilitate cross-fertilization of ideas with the rest of the institute, to examine the relationship between government, business, and society. And now I have a very long thank you list. Bringing the school to fruition would not have been possible without the wholehearted support from the leadership and all the support teams at IIM Ahmedabad. So thank you, Arindam. Errol could not join us, and the JSW group. So I will start, as I said, with a very long list of thank yous. I want to once again thank the JSW group for their generous support towards building a school of national importance. Mr. Rahul Mehrotra and his team for giving the school its unique physical identity. IIMA's director in charge, Professor Arindam Banerjee, and former director, Professor Errol D'Souza, both of whom I worked very closely with, for the relentless support and patience with my more often than not urgent and unconventional requests. Former chairpersons, many of whom are here today, thank you for coming, and executive committee members of the school who took up the mantle of actually establishing and conceptualizing the school. My colleague, again, who could not join us, unfortunately, Mr. Param Iyer, who has ensured that the school bridges academia and policy practice. My colleagues in the JSW School of Public Policy Executive Committee, Ankur Sareen Chinmay Tumbe, Tarun Jain, and Vishal Gupta, thank you for being here, who have wholeheartedly supported the school's activities and vision. The JSW SPP administrative team, Mr. Gopal Iyer, Ms. Munaz Vakil, who have put their heart and soul into making this inauguration happen and assisted in various activities of the school, including outreach, branding, positioning. They, along with Mr. Bhavesh Chauhan, Mr. Ashish Bharwad, and others, continue to be my pillars of support for day-to-day functioning of the school. The projects team led by Mr. Pranay Srivastav, the endowment office led by Chavi Mudgal, and the chief administrative officer, Colonel Amit Verma, who are key internal partners and continue to support this project. The various administrative teams at the institute, the projects team, the IT/AV team, communications, HR, hospitality, without whom this day and the various activities of the school would not have been possible. So thank you everyone once again for being here, and I would like to show something which is quite personal. So that is me. I promise you that this is not an opportunistic photograph. This is a photo that I took back in August 2022. So it was just a few weeks after we moved into the building, and that time a lot of the work around me was still happening. So Rahul mentioned something, and that is exactly what I have here. As someone who watched the JSW School of Public Policy building take shape brick by brick, literally, I often ask myself, can good architecture be inspiring and even therapeutic? And I would say absolutely, and Rahul mentioned it in his speech, we make the buildings, but our buildings also make us. I consider myself fortunate to have benefited from the works of great architects. So I occupy spaces, I live and work in spaces which have been built by probably the world's greatest architects. As I look over, as you can see in this picture, the lush Maidan from my office, I know a lot of you here are thinking the most enviable office on campus. As I look over the lush Maidan from my office, soaking in the sunshine and the changing seasons, it has always had a very calming, inspiring effect. And all that chaos of, it seemed as if things were always out of control, and Mr. Jindal mentioned it at well, it was start and stop, start and stop. And I had that one mandate, you have to get the building completed. And everything seemed chaotic every single day, but as I came into my office, sat there with the mandatory masala chai, looked outside my window, and suddenly everything around me just started to make sense. To conclude, I hope that it has the same effect on everyone who steps foot in this building, and some of them are able to leave a lasting legacy in public policy. So thank you very much here. I would like to just make a brief announcement, which is that we will take a short break because some of our guests would be leaving. We will reconvene in 15 minutes at 5:30 for the panel discussion. Please do stay on, and there is also a dinner that follows after the panel discussion. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone.